From We Run With You, I'm Kathy Wynn.
And I'm Rob Alvarez. This is Doing Good. This season, we interview brain aneurysm survivors and caregivers to learn how they are navigating new challenges and finding their own way of doing good.
Andrea Calleja suffered a ruptured brain aneurysm in 2019, days after running the Chicago Marathon. After surgery, her first doctor told her she can no longer run, but she did not let that stop her from running marathons. With a new perspective on life, Andrea continues to run for good.
Hi, Andrea. Welcome.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So happy to finally meet you too.
Yeah,
We've
Excited.
just been seeing you on Instagram mostly. It's,
online, yeah.
yeah, it's good to talk to you actually, sort of in person, as close as we can get. I know you're all the way in the Philippines, and we're here in Delaware, but feels like we're just talking face to face.
Yep.
So this is awesome. Kathy was just telling me that you ran the Tokyo Marathon, I think, just a few months ago. What
Yeah,
was that
last
like?
March. Oh, it was like the most exciting run that I've ever done because the last time I did a marathon was in Chicago back in 2019, and 3 days after, that's when I had my ruptured aneurysm.
Oh
So
my gosh.
going back to running and doing the marathon for the first time was like being reborn again.
Oh.
Because during the time of my rupture, I was telling Kathy that my doctor said forget about running when I survived. So I was like, but that's my sanctuary
Yeah,
and that's
that's
what
my
I love
life.
to do. So forgetting about it is like forgetting myself. But yeah, so I was just taking it one day at a time, and finally the day arrived that I changed doctors and
Oh,
finally um, agreed to take it slowly but surely. And pandemic happened, and everything was locked down. And Tokyo Marathon came 3 years after, and I was fully recovered by then. So it was just like perfect timing to run again. We were both reborn, even the
wow.
Tokyo Marathon, because it closed for 3 years.
That's
Oh
right.
wow. So
That's
that was
right.
Yeah,
the
it
first
was
time in
like the
3 years that
first.
it opened
Yeah,
up
it was
again.
like
Oh my gosh. That
so.
was well.
It was.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. It was my slowest marathon, but the
Hey.
happiest ever.
Oh wow. That's the most important. Really,
Yeah,
how
and
you
I
feel about it.
was I was just running and feeling everything run, and I because I never thought I would do it again, really. And every step, like we all know it's gonna hurt, right? But every step when I'm hurting, it's like, oh, there's a feeling, and it's the most amazing feeling.
Oh wow.
I think
So
most people would be like, well, it's going to hurt anyways, as in terms of a marathon. But I absolutely know how you feel in terms of, getting to do what you love again. And then as I said before, you're alive when you're in
Yeah.
pain. I know it's
Although
not.
some people will say, I'd rather not feel it when I'm running.
Exactly. But oh my gosh, I was so excited. I was tracking you and I kept telling Rob, I was like, wow, oh my God, she's here. She's here. Because the tracker was so cool. It would have like your icon your
oh,
figure, and it would be right on the map. And it was just,
yeah.
and I was
Um,
like, wow, she is so consistent. And then later on I found out that you're like just running and taking
Taking
selfies and
video.
photos, and I'm like, "Oh my goodness." Well, of course it's gonna be her I'm like, "Just imagine if she didn't take those selfies and photos." But that's what you wanna do, I love that you did that. So that's so awesome. Congratulations again.
Thank you, and I
Yay.
can't wait to do it again.
so I wanted to actually take it back to before your ruptured aneurysm. So have you always been a runner? This always been
Yeah,
a big
I've
part of
been
your life?
running for 25 years since
Wow.
way back in college. So I was a varsity long distance runner as well. But when I was working, it's just a weekend thing, racing, triathlons,
Oh, wow.
and marathons, but I didn't take it seriously until my first. Well, I took it seriously, of course, in college because that's what I was supposed to do with a varsity. But when I was working for around 12 to 20 to 50 more years, I didn't take it seriously. But then I realized that that's what I wanted to do when I'm not doing work or mommy duties or something else. Like people are in the mall, I'm running, or I'm swimming, or I'm riding my bike.
Biking.
So
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
so yeah, it was really my sanctuary,
Yeah.
triathlons
Well,
and marathons.
there are worse things to do
To
with
be
your free
addicted
time.
to.
Yeah, and we me and my I was part of a 10 girl team, and we
Mm.
would raise funds every time we'd go long distance cycling. We'd go 500 kilometers in the country. And
Oh,
Rob,
wow.
you
Wow.
know, it's really hard here in our country to ride the streets because it's not safe, but because of the cars and the trucks and the buses.
Yeah.
But we'd go early in the morning and go up north or down south and ride and raise funds for those long distance cycling. So it
Oh,
was
that's
very
awesome.
very it was very fulfilling because you're doing what you love and also doing something more
You're
for
doing good. You're doing good is what you're
Yeah.
doing. You're doing what you love and you're doing good at the same time.
yeah.
That's what we're all about too. So this is perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've been doing it for a couple of years, more than 10 years already. So that's what we really call passion, right? Doing what we love.
Mhm.
So it sounds like you're also mixing in some traveling with your running because you ended up in Chicago in
Oh,
2019.
oh yeah,
You
because
mentioned.
in 2016 I was able to get a slot in New York Marathon, and then from
Oh,
then on, I wanted to do the majors. So
ah,
that's when it started. So and it was fun. New York Marathon is always fun.
yeah,
So I did it the next year again, and then I I always got the slot. So I guess it was meant to happen.
nice.
So yeah,
I've yet to run New York. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of really, really big races, but I guess
yeah.
if yeah, I guess if you want to get the majors, that has to be on your list. But yeah, I heard it's a great venue. Maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe one day. Yeah.
So you said you ran the Chicago. That was when. So,
The rupture happened, yeah. I did Berlin 2 weeks before the Chicago. So
oh
that was
wow.
also in
Okay.
September 2019. And then Chicago. And then I got a slot for Tokyo and London in 2020, but the world stopped. And so is my aneurysm happened.
Oh
So,
wow.
so yeah. So now that's when I started doing international marathons, but I also do international triathlons before, but only in Asia because it's so hard to lug your bike around traveling.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to ship
So,
it,
Yeah.
and all that.
yeah, it's more expensive and
Yeah.
it's so hard to go around with it. So yeah, I'll just do marathons outside. It's the perfect way to explore the area, the place where you are
Yeah.
anyway, right?
It's a good
Run
excuse to
around.
That's what
travel.
I say.
She's wanting me to. She's wanting me to give her the okay to sign up for some race in Europe or something, like Paris
One
Marathon
one
or
can
something.
one can wish.
Yeah, why not? if and the slots, if you get in, that means it's meant for you, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So
So
you
yeah,
ran. You actually ran. So Berlin, and then 2 weeks later Chicago.
Yeah, she's
Like,
yeah,
legit.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
she's
what
wow.
legit.
happened.
So did you feel anything at all? Like any symptoms at all in those two
No,
marathons? Wow.
No, it was just like I was okay. I was just tired, I guess. Because of course
You probably was
you
just all the
run
running.
two marathons in 2 weeks. But I experienced the symptoms in the plane going back to Manila.
Oh, wow.
So that's when I really didn't feel well anymore. But um that also saved me because I when I landed Narita um, from Chicago, I had to take the next flight, the earlier flight than my usual flight, and then went straight to the hospital when I arrived in Manila.
Oh, wow.
Now, what were some of the symptoms that you had on the airplane?
Oh, I
Now,
was
did it
throwing up.
rupture? Did it rupture? I hope it didn't rupture on the airplane,
I
or
don't.
was it in?
I'm. I don't. I'm not sure, but I was already throwing up in the
Oh,
plane, and I
Mm.
was having headaches already. But the I went to ER straight to ER from my plane ride, and they just sent me home because they didn't do the
oh wow.
MRI
Oh,
or scan test, so they sent me home. And when I got home a few hours after, that's when I had my seizure and passed out. And
oh,
then that
wow.
was
Wow.
when I was taken back in the hospital. I
Oh,
was out for a couple of hours until because I came from Chicago and my doctor cousin is in the States. So they called
oh.
her and asked
What
what
happened over
happened
there?
there in Chicago.
Yeah.
And she was like,
Oh,
no, nothing. She would just ran and she asked for the symptoms and she was the one who ordered the ER a scan. Look for a
Oh
oh,
local
wow.
wow.
doctor and order the scan because so she was the one from the States who
Oh,
ordered that one.
wow.
So she called the hospital and pretty much like became your advocate. It,
Yeah,
yeah,
she did.
that's that's crazy. That is just crazy.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious because I always, I always find myself, or later on, like a year or so after, I would always find myself, you know, going through scanning through Facebook memories because I always once in a while I would be like, oh my gosh, I have the worst headache today, and it happened a lot. So I was just curious, do you ever think back like, oh, I wonder if this was the some signs, or did you ever have like a lot of headaches
Um.
prior to the
Uh,
rupture?
Honestly, no, not that much of a headache, but I would complain in the morning before I go for a run that my head aches.
Mm.
But most of the time, I would think it was because it's so hot here in the Philippines. It's like
Mm,
40
Mm.
degrees Celsius. So,
mm,
so we attributed it. I guess I attributed to that, but it's not something that I cannot tolerate. Maybe that's why, because um, my pain. I guess I'm just used to the pain.
mm.
So
This is
now,
normal. Yeah.
yeah, but now I'm very conscious that every time just a little bit of headache, I would have it checked already.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, for Kathy, we thought it was just part of her she kind of had, I think, the flu or something,
yeah,
the cold or flu the week before. So of
Oh
course,
yeah,
you usually have headaches with it, and she was coughing a lot, and
yeah.
so we thought, oh, it's just that. But it was a lot worse
Yeah. And
than
I think
yeah,
when
anything before that she
yeah,
felt.
and I think when that happened, a lot of people were just like, "Oh, she's probably just really tired from working out so much," you know? And then there's on the other hand, where and I want to know if you've ever had people say this to you too. They're like, "Well, but you're so healthy. How can something like this happen to you?"
exactly.
Right? And
Yes, all
I'm
the
like, I'm
time.
like, that's the crazy thing about an aneurysm, a brain
Yeah,
aneurysm, is that I always say it doesn't discriminate. You
yeah.
can be
It
as
can be
healthy
anybody.
as healthy as the number one super athlete, and but then again, and strong as an ox, but it does not matter when it happens. It just strikes. So
Yeah.
what have you felt in terms of you know people's perception after they found out that you had a brain aneurysm?
Well, yeah, that's what I was telling them, that it can happen to anybody. Because I was on I would say one of my fittest years, because I just finished the Ironman the year before and did
Oh, wow.
two marathons at the same time, the same season. So I was like, this is my fittest. But then aneurysm can happen to anybody at any time, even if you're very healthy. I was eating healthy. I don't even eat meat. I only eat, well,
Mhm.
I'm not a vegan, but I only eat veggies and fish and white meat for that. So they're like, oh, so even if you're healthy, you can have aneurysm. Of course, it can happen to anybody. It's not like um, it, it's like a raffle for me. you're
Yeah,
you get it.
that is such I never thought about that. A raffle that you don't want. Clearly,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
It's
Well,
like a
I'll give it
lottery. You
back.
got it. You got in.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
what did they the first time you were in the ER, what did they when they sent you home, what did they say they thought
Oh,
you
because
had?
I was throwing up, right? So they just put an IV on me and said I was dehydrated.
Hmm.
That's why. But they did all the blood tests and just the basic tests and sent me home after the IV was done. And they just said to rest because it might have been because of the marathon. I was dehydrated and all. So I was sent home after a few hours. And the
Mhm.
test results were like, okay, the
Yeah.
blood test and all. So,
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
because it doesn't show up on any blood test, right? Yeah, it's like
Yeah, and they don't, well, at least in the Philippines, they don't do scans unless it is ordered by the doctor. So
yeah.
I
Oh
guess
wow. Okay.
it wasn't part of the regular test that they did. So,
So
that,
luckily it was so somebody was I guess there that found you and was able to call
oh yeah,
the
my brother who brought me to the hospital called my
mm,
cousin and asked what happened because they don't have an idea because I was in the plane, I was in the flight, and they didn't have an idea why I was feeling that way.
mhm.
So they thought I rode the plane drunk
Oh,
from drinking from the
Had a
from
little too much
little
celebrating.
too
cocktail.
much, yeah.
Yeah, from
On the plane.
celebrating from the
Yeah.
marathon because it was I flew the day right after the marathon, so they thought
Oh, okay.
I was still drunk from celebrating or something.
Over, yeah.
So yeah, that's why I was throwing up. But she said she's not. She was perfectly healthy when she was here, and she didn't even drink a glass. I just had a sip or something because I wasn't. It was too cold. It was too cold during that time.
Mm.
Mm.
The temperature went down from supposedly, I think it was supposedly 17 Celsius. It became 5 the morning. So the morning of the marathon. So everybody was like shocked.
Wow. Yeah.
So
So,
that's when I started not feeling well because of the sudden change in temperature.
that was good that your brother ended up calling her to say you ended up back in, I guess.
Yeah,
Mm,
she was the one who saved me
yeah.
technically.
So do you remember much about that whole that time around? You said you were out for a couple of hours, and were you conscious
No,
throughout?
yeah, I
Or,
wasn't conscious.
okay.
I was like dead to the world,
Yeah.
but I was breathing.
Yeah.
And for 2 weeks, when I woke up, I didn't even know my name. I didn't know
Oh,
anybody. Yeah, yeah,
really?
for
Wow.
2 weeks
Oh,
until
wow.
Really?
yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know anything. Like
So
every
that was
day was
yeah.
like 50 first dates.
Oh
Every
my gosh.
morning, the doctor would come in and ask my name, and I was like, "Oh, I have no idea." I
How scary. Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
So wait,
so
so when they would would you they would tell you, would you forget again? Or
the next day, I'll
oh
forget
really? You'd
again.
forget again?
So
Oh my
50 first
gosh.
dates, the movie was real.
Oh wow.
It
Yeah.
happened to me. So because
Oh my gosh.
they were taking out the blood
Yeah.
in my brain, so that's the only time it got better. After a few weeks,
Uh,
that's when my memory. So everything that happened in the 2 weeks, I didn't remember at all until now.
uh, wow.
After the rupture.
Okay. So it kind of came back to you, like slowly came back to you after.
Yeah, but that 2 weeks was still blank until now. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
do
You don't know what
anything.
happened.
So when
Okay.
I wake during the time when I wake up, I'd ask, what time is it? How cold is it outside? And I'm in the Philippines because my last memory was in Chicago.
Oh wow.
Oh,
So you
okay.
thought you're still there every time, every day.
How crazy. You didn't tell me this, Andrea, when we
Oh,
were
it
DMing
was
Oh
each
my
other.
gosh.
That's so
it's
crazy.
so
That
crazy.
must be so
Yeah.
scary.
Well, that was
Yeah,
one of my.
for
Yeah.
them, it was
Yeah, for
really
that.
scary.
True,
Yeah.
true, true.
Yeah.
And
I was
and when
worried when
yeah.
Kathy woke up that she wouldn't remember me or her kids or her family. Yeah. I was.
So did she know you?
Yeah. I think
I
so.
didn't know
Right.
anybody.
I think
I don't.
I, I think she kind of did. At the beginning, she was kind of mostly out of it. Like when she woke up the first time after her surgery, when
Yeah.
they did a bypass surgery, and so she was just kind of like still figuring out, what's going on, why am I here? But she recognized us, like her family.
Well, he says, you know what? I'll I'm just gonna interject real quick. I don't
It's
remember.
okay.
No, I think at that time maybe I did know who they are, but going back to, let's say, the day that I woke up, I don't remember. I don't
Yeah.
I don't remember, other than this will have to be a podcast of its own, of Rob interviewing me, but I
Yeah.
don't remember. But that is just so trippy that you did not know who
I
you were
know.
for 2
I
weeks.
know.
And that's so scary for, yeah, as you
Scary for
mentioned,
my
for your
family.
family. Yeah, and I
I
can
was
only
telling
imagine
them,
for
why
Rob.
didn't you record it so that I know
Oh
what
yeah.
happened? They were too scared to even record it
Yeah.
because they don't know if it's gonna go back or not. So
Um,
they didn't want. They were just too scared. And
yeah.
I would say, I would tell, like when I saw my daughter, I recognized my daughter. She's the first one I
Yeah.
recognized. But I told her, go get my credit card and get something from Target. And there's no Target here in the Philippines. Everything
Oh
was
my
still
gosh.
in
Because you're
Chicago.
in Chicago. Oh
Yeah.
my God, that is so
You're like,
crazy.
go to Target and buy me a coat. It's cold over here.
They're like,
So
that
they
is
only
so
sent
crazy.
me home when I can already recognize myself and the people around me. That's the only time that the doctor sent me home, because
Oh wow.
I think that's one of the reasons that they wanted to keep me in the hospital.
Okay. So how long were you in the hospital for?
15 days. I was in the
Oh,
ICU for 5 days and then 10 days in the regular room.
okay. Now, did you ended up losing any, did you have to work on, well, let's just say, did they give you any PT while you were there? Or did you
Oh,
need it? PT?
the biggest damage that I had were my eyesight,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
I lost it.
Oh
Uh,
man.
yeah, my eyes was my I cannot see clearly. It was just blurred. So they wanted to observe it first, and half of my body was numb, but I
Hmm.
can move it. Until now, it's numb, but I can move it. So they said a PT is not necessary unless I
Hmm.
cannot feel, unless I am bothered by it. So I had a surgery for my eyes a few months after, because they thought it would go back, but it did not. So, but
Oh,
now
wow.
it's a 2020 vision. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Good.
one of them. But it was so scary because I don't know if I'm gonna see again, right?
That's
And it was,
crazy. Wow. Oh my
and I
God.
won't be able to go back to work if I lose my eyesight because I
Yeah.
can't
Oh my
be
gosh.
functioning. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of
So
the scariest things.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was a giddy, happy girl when I finally saw clearly again.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
So after you got back home, what was life like, or what was recovery like for you?
Oh, I was taking it one day at a time. The moment I got back and the doctor said that I can't go to triathlon, I sold my bike like in five
Oh, you
minutes.
Oh,
did?
it must be
Oh
so
my god.
sad.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
I had to do
I
it
would ship my bike for a race, and I'm like, oh, I hope I
because
see you again. And
I
then
see it
you
every
have to sell
time.
your bike. Oh man.
Oh, man.
Oh yeah, it was one of the hardest. Well, I that was my emotional first emotional things that I had to do because I didn't want to see it anymore. It was right in front of me all the time.
Oh.
Even if my vision was blurred, I can see it and I can feel it, and I felt so sad not being able to ride it anymore. But yeah, I took it one day at a time because I my vision was blurred and I had to get somebody, and somebody has to stay with me to do everything for me because I can't do it by myself. Even walking on my own was hard because of my impaired eyes vision.
Mm.
Oh,
So and I had to monitor my heart rate, my heart, my BP. My BP. For the first time, I was looking at it like on a minute by minute
oh, wow.
monitoring.
Okay.
So yeah, it was really humbling. It's the first time I had somebody to take care of me because I'm the eldest in our family of
Mm.
five, and I've always thought that I should be the one taking care of my siblings. But this time around, um, they took care of me. They were round the clock, uh, staying by my side because I might need something and I can't see it. So everybody was
Um,
on hands on for at least a couple of weeks when I got home. But yeah, after the operation, my eyesight um, went back with the 2020 vision, and I was able to walk, go back to the daily
kind kind of
routine.
normal. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
the lockdown happened, so yeah, we're just home.
That's right. Oh my God.
That's when
Gosh,
I
isn't it?
recovered.
Yeah. Well, then you couldn't go anywhere
Oh,
anyway, so
Yeah,
that's okay.
exactly. That's it. It was a blessing for me. Well, not for the world, but for me, everybody was healing, and I was also healing at the same time. So yeah,
Good timing, I guess. Yeah, I
yeah.
guess you could say if the silver lining to, I guess, winning that unwanted raffle was having it during a pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when
So
everybody
there's the
was
silver
also,
lining. There's the silver lining. Yeah.
it
When
is,
everyone, and
it
I love
is.
that you said that when everyone is healing, because really it was a time for healing for everyone. And gosh, it seems so
Seems
long
not like yeah.
ago.
It
I
seems
I
feel like
know.
COVID was like 10 years ago when it's really
Yeah,
what, just 3?
yeah.
But my God, anyways,
Something we want to try
we
to
don't want
forget.
to talk about it anymore.
So
that's the
how
silver lining. Yeah, for me.
how soon after did you want to get back to running, or
Oh, when I was able to walk, I wanted to run, but then the doctor said I have to take my time, and I was researching, and that's when I met Kathy, and runners with aneurysms from LA. So that's when I said, "Oh, they went back to running," and my doctor said, "Take my time." So it's not impossible to go back, and that really, and I went to my doctor and showed your side,
Wait, the
and
the
it,
doctor
oh
that said
really?
the doctor that told you you have no business
and
going
no, no,
back.
no, I changed my doctor,
Oh, you
and he
changed your
said
doctor at this
I
time.
changed my
Okay.
doctor. Yeah,
Okay.
I went to a neurosurgeon who's also from the same varsity that I was with. He's
Okay.
one of the top neurosurgeon here in the country. He's actually the director of PGH, the number one government hospital in the Philippines.
Okay.
Oh,
So since I knew that he knows how athletes are, I asked him for his opinion, and then he said, "We'll make you run again one day." So just take
Mm.
your time. And then that's when I showed him your site, and he said, yes, we'll do that. He said. And then, yeah. So from then on, I was just taking my time. He said, okay, you can take a walk with this zone. And I knew that he knows what he's doing because we're talking about the same zoning and
Oh my god.
so yeah,
Zone
I
one.
felt
You
yeah,
gotta be in zone one. No, no more than that. Low
so
zone
I
one.
was
Not
like,
even high
okay,
zone one.
we'll
That's
do
so cool.
this. So yeah, he knew that I wanted to go back to my marathons. So last July, after my angiogram, he said you can continue with your Tokyo, but check with your cardio first. So yeah,
Okay.
I got a go signal with my cardio as well. So everything fell into place. Of course, there are warnings again because I forgot to mention I still have two aneurysms.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I had mine in my left, and then I have another one on my right and by my neck. So it's still up for monitoring. That's why
Okay.
I don't want to. Well, the raffle might happen again. So, but they said, but don't let it stop your life, And that's
Wow.
That's
when,
good.
yeah. So I was like, okay, why not? So just taking it slowly, not as competitive as before.
Hmm.
So, but enjoying every step of the way.
That's awesome.
So the one on your left, so the one that ruptured, did they coil it or something, or did
They did a coiling,
okay.
and yeah, it
Okay.
worked.
And but the other two,
It's
they
just
just
for
monitoring. They said
monitoring because it's too
okay.
small.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So they don't have to address it yet. So we're just doing scans every year to monitor it.
okay.
So
I was gonna
yeah,
ask that.
Okay.
yeah. So and if they said just be more conscious if you have headaches or
Hmm.
now we know, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Now we know what to
Be
look
aware.
for,
Be aware
to
for.
be aware of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So it's just
What
there, part of my life, part of my body.
what
Yeah.
what was your first run? What did you obviously you had to kind of take it slowly. Do you remember like the first time you actually got to go
Oh,
out and run or
I was walking first,
yeah.
and then walking a little bit faster. and then, um, and then my first kilometer was like just so I was crying actually the first
Oh,
time I did my first kilometer.
I
It felt
absolutely
so
can
good. It just
relate.
felt so good to be able to
Right.
bounce
Mhm.
again, and now I'm I'm tearing up. Um, and I was just feeling the wind on my face, everything, because um, it was something that I was looking forward to. So it was just surreal
Yeah.
to be able to do it again. And at that time, I promised myself I'm not gonna take anything for granted anymore, because every step before you don't even know that you won't be able to do it anymore, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
That is so true. Oh
That's
man.
awesome.
Oh man, this is
I
I'm
know,
so happy for you, and I love the fact that you know when you found our site when you did, and then it just gave you that hope, and then for you to, oh my gosh, every word, every emotion that you are feeling right now, I just, yeah, it's I get it. I get it.
yeah.
And I'm
I
so
would always
happy.
open during the time that I can't run yet. I would open and look at what's happening in your lives. And we run with you because I was just
Uh,
holding on to it the whole time. The whole time, Kathy, really. So
uh,
I was that time I was hoping one day I'd be able to share my story so that if somebody who was in my position would be experiencing this, I would be able to give them hope as well. So yeah.
that's awesome. Like that's really the reason why we started We Run With You. The very first thing we did was that website and really to share stories. That was the
Yeah.
big thing. You know, that was the
Yeah.
start of it. Before we even did, I know Kathy ran the, you know, the LA Marathon, like her comeback race, and raise money, you know, fundraise for you know, the hospital and for brain aneurysm research. But it was not like We Run With You it wasn't really even connected to We Run With You. You know, We Run With You came after, and that was really the very
Oh,
start of it, was to
Yeah.
share stories and to kind of create a community and to spread the word. You know, that was the main reason.
Yeah.
So it makes us feel like just
We're going on the right
wonderful
path.
that we, you know, when we
yeah.
hear stories like yours, and when we hear anyone say, you know, reading the stories on your site and what you share on social media, you know, has just either given me hope or really kept me going, or at least made me feel like I'm not alone in this. Just makes it all worth it. So
Oh, it is. It is. And just to share, because I was telling Kathy that um, the awareness here in Asia, especially, well, in my country, in our country, is very low. They don't even know what aneurysm is, and what more that you can do something again when you survive aneurysm. So most of the survivors here just don't do anything anymore because they're just so scared that it might happen
mm,
again. So I, just like my first doctor who said you can't do anything anymore and forget about running, I guess there are a lot of more conservative doctors than how I met my second doctor, right? So
yeah, wow,
yeah, it's so sad that they're already like 20 years from their rupture and they're still just doing nothing.
Yeah.
They
They're not
never knew that you
thriving.
can
Yeah.
do, yeah, they never knew that you can do something else with your life again.
Yeah. And I think that's just so important. Like Rob had indicated, you know, when we initially started We Run With You, it was like March of 2018 when we officially, I guess you can say, announced We Run With You. And it wasn't even a .org. It was just, we simply, through the encouragement of Rob, you know, we created this community and we wanted it to be a community to share other people's triumphs, you know, their survival story. Because, you know, I felt so fortunate in terms of where I landed. You know, I was, you know, I don't think a lot of people thought that, you know, especially my family, those that knew, didn't think I would make it out. So and then for me to come back and do the comeback race in 2016 and then continue to thrive, you know, I really didn't feel like, um, you know, I was given the second chance, you know, but at the same time, I
Yeah,
was like, you know, I and then at the same time, I felt guilty doing what I was continuing to do, like run marathons, continuing to do, you know, triathlons and pretty much like race around the clock. Um, so a lot of times, I'm perhaps a lot of it was survivor's guilt. So I
mm-hmm.
wanted to create kind of like a haven or a community where, you know, those that have gone through a traumatic event like you and I did could share our stories of triumph and in turn, you know, tell other people. My motto has always been, you know, you can continue to live after something like this. And you know, for you to tell us that you came to our site, you know, read our story or and found us on Instagram and see, you know, what I did or continuing to do to give you that hope. You know, I feel like okay, we're going on the right path because there's a lot of times, you know, I question, you know, should we continue We Run With You? Because I don't know, a
Yeah,
lot of it's just me rambling about running and triathloning and I was like, but now that we have a purpose, And we're going to provide more than just brain aneurysm awareness, but to be able to make good on the miles that we put together, providing, hopefully our first grant next year is so exciting, and I'm so
Yeah.
thrilled. And what's so cool is that it's not Rob and I or the board or those that went to the fundraiser that's providing this. It's individuals like yourself. My goodness, I felt so humbled when you showed me that the singlet or the shirt, your race shirt with WeRunWithYou.org. I was like, I don't even know her. I mean, I know her from Instagram, but for you to take it to the level of, I want to spread awareness, and we're going to put WeRunWithYou.org on my back, on my chest. I mean, gosh, that's so powerful, and it's the community that is providing the change, that's doing good. We were talking to Alejandra, and she says, I want to be like you guys. I'm like, well, you are us. You are the individuals that are making a difference. So thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you. Well, the We Run With You is just perfect. The We Run With You. Because
Yeah.
even if I wasn't running that time, it was just that I know that somebody else would be doing it with me, for me,
Mhm.
and in the perfect timing, we'll be doing it together, right?
Yes.
So yeah, let's continue this. We continue it, please.
Yeah.
No stopping.
Yeah, that energizes us, hearing your what you have to say. So thank you for sharing that. Is there is there anything in particular that you would look for from organizations like We Run With You, or even other brain aneurysm organizations
Well,
to do more of for the for this survivor community, or for the world in general?
well, right now, just like how what I shared to Kathy is that I'm really looking forward to running and meeting all of you soon,
Yeah,
and at the same time raise funds because it's more meaningful. What times 100,000 times of what I used to do, because I used to raise to raise funds, right?
yeah,
So now experiencing personally on a different level, uh, it's more meaningful. So yeah, looking forward to sharing more miles and raising more awareness and funds for future researches and whatever we can do for the community. Because yeah, it's on a
so,
personal note right now.
yeah. Oh, that's great. Because yeah, we'll definitely have more miles and more events to
Yeah,
come. So definitely looking forward to
yeah.
that. Do you have any advice to anyone out there that might be listening that's kind of just either recovering or thinking about getting back to their normal life after such a life-changing event?
Yeah, well, as I've always said, just keep the faith and it will happen. Just hang in there and um, just we have to be grateful for every waking hour because as Kathy mentioned, this is our second life. We all survived together. We can make it life more exciting and happy. And I guess my realization is really life is short. So
Yeah,
do whatever makes you
Yes,
happy, right? So,
absolutely.
that's good advice.
so yeah.
We Run With You is a nonprofit with a mission to improve the lives of people suffering from brain injury and disease by funding research, raising awareness, and providing support for survivors and their families. Find out more at WeRunWithYou.org. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a comment or review. Until next time, keep doing good.